January 22nd, I had a chance to see what was basically the final presentation of an opera composition class at the University of Toronto. Every year, the director of the opera program, Michael Albano, writes a new libretto which a group of student composers score to get some experience in writing for the operatic stage. They've been doing it for several years now, but what happened yesterday was a bit unexpected and totally mind-blowing. For his theme this year, Michael Albano had picked the life of Toronto's quote-unquote fearless leader, Mayor Rob Ford. Michael said that in the old days, opera often reflected what was going on in contemporary life. And with the intense buffoonery that's been happening in City Hall for the last year, it's not hard to imagine it as an opera. I mean, really, a Ferris wheel and monorail on the harbor front? What kind of shit is that? If they could get their face melon heads out of their okay, this isn't about Rob Ford, but Rob Ford the opera, and more importantly, Canadian opera. I knew from the amount of publicity that the opera was getting it was going to be busy, so I planned to show up an hour early to make sure I got in. When I walked into the music school at the University of Toronto, there was already a lineup. No, not just a lineup. There were people camped out to see the opera. And I'm thinking, this is a student workshop of a class project of contemporary opera. I hope these people know what they're in line for. So I get in line, and it grows. And it grows. Pretty soon it looks like a midnight premiere of the latest Twilight movie. Well, maybe the first one. They've gone downhill from there. And it kept growing until it snaked all around the labyrinthine halls of the Edward Johnson building and out into the bike lane-free Rob Fordian streets of Toronto. I felt like I'd died and gone to contemporary Canadian opera heaven. Hey there, Harry. Salut, Claude. Well, I got inspired. I had to document this, and since the ridiculously addictive and overpriced iPhone in my pocket is good for more than Angry Birds and making me look like a 350-pound zombie, I thought I would try a little guerrilla journalism. So I'm here at the workshop reading of Rob Ford, the opera, at the University of Toronto, and I showed up early knowing that this was going to be a busy one, and I'm completely amazed by the fact that there is a huge lineup. People camped out to see a student workshop performance of a new Canadian opera. Doesn't happen very often, and the buzz for new Canadian opera sometimes is not what it should be, so I just felt the need to document it.
First reason is my daughter's performing in it, and reason number two, it'd be nice to see some humor and some poking fun in it.
Absolutely. Now, do you normally go to much Canadian opera?
I try to.
When it's there?
When it's there.
Excellent, thank you. So my big question is why you are here to see the Rob Ford opera.
Well, I thought it was a very funny concept, writing an opera about Rob Ford. I read about it in the Star, and I thought it was hilarious, and I think there's a lot of frustration about Rob Ford. It's nice to have a channel, nice to have people gathering together. Just for that, and I like new music. I'm interested in new music.
Have you been to many new Canadian operas?
Okay, not a lot, not so much operas. You know, I'm sort of tangentially related to the music scene.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you so much. Hi. So yeah, just wanted to know why you're here to see the Rob Ford opera.
I'm here to see exactly what is going to happen for the sarcasm and making fun of the whole situation and public reactions. It's kind of disgraceful.
And do you go to many new Canadian operas, or?
It's been a while, but I was a music student in university as well, so I do appreciate it.
Okay.
It'll be an interesting combination.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to ask you while you're right here.
Oh.
Would you be willing to tell me why you're here to see the Rob Ford
I'll
opera?
tell you why I'm here. Partly because I'm fascinated by the whole thing. Also because a friend of mine, Andrew Hodgie, is the lead.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm thrilled.
And have you been to much Canadian opera?
I have. Not a whole bunch, but probably more than some because I'm a musician.
Excellent. What do you think of the fact that it's completely jammed packed here?
I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
Doesn't normally happen.
Doesn't normally happen.
Exactly. Thank you.
It's a current affairs, and there you go.
Exactly. So I just want to ask you, what do you think of this huge crowd here to see this new Canadian opera?
I think it is absolutely wonderful. It's heartwarming. It's a great boost for opera, for this city, and I'm looking forward to discovering the truth about our mayor.
And how opera can tease that truth out.
Opera can raise him to a mythical level beyond that which we already regard him as.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the light's better in that seat.
What is really exciting is this is contemporary now opera, Canadian, and the place is packed. And I really feel that our opera companies in Canada can really learn from this, that we really can do it and we can pack houses.
Excellent. Thank you. So the theater was jam-packed with like 800 people, and another 100 watched on video from the lobby. I mean, what was this? The OJ trial? Sorry, that's a really old reference. What was this? The Justin Bieber paternity trial? All these swarms of people showed up to see an unknown Canadian opera. In Newfoundland, we would say that the theater was right maggoty with people. And oh man, the maggots, no offense intended, did indeed line up to feast on the sweet and unlimited flesh of Michael Albano's Rob Ford, the opera. And do you know what? It was good. Listen, I've been at my share of student composition workshops and heard enough to make Stockhausen turn over in his grave, which is saying something. But this was really good. Composers Massimo Guida, Anna Hustman, Saman Shahai, and Adam sorry Adam, killer scene though dude, did a great job of dramatically driving the 6 scenes of the opera, and the audience loved it. And all this got me thinking. We're sometimes also concerned about how inaccessible or elitist or confusing modern opera is that we forget all about what opera is all about. Storytelling. Quick, how many of you could name a Canadian opera? And Phantom of the Opera doesn't count. It's not Canadian, it's not an opera. I don't even think he's technically a phantom. In this country, we have some amazing opera composers, people you should know. James Rolfe, Aaron Gervais, Abigail Richardson, Chan Con-nin, Gary Kulesha, Victor Davies, Anna Sokolovic, Randolph Peters, Bramwell Tovey, Harry Summers, Claude Vivier, John Estasio, John Burge, John Beckwith, more Johns than a Toronto City Council Las Vegas retreat.
Did I say that?
R. Murray Schaefer, Louis Applebaum, this guy, and on and on and on. Not to mention all the unsung Canadian librettists. I guess technically if they're librettists, they're not unsung. Opera really speaks to people. Canadian opera tells the Canadian story. I know a lot of people came to this opera because it was about Rob Ford, and because it was free, and because they gave out puppies. Well, no, not that last bit, but wouldn't that have been cool? Really, they came because they wanted to hear their own story, something they grapple with every day. They wanted something to speak to them, something to reach them in a meaningful way, and yesterday, that was a Canadian opera. So in conclusion, bravo to Michael Albano for such inspired subject matter and breaking this art form out of the straitjacket many people mistakenly place it in. You have the power to choose. Please, please, please do not vote for Rob Ford. But please, please, please support Canadian opera. At least with the opera, you don't need to be afraid.